Pig Suey. How about that?
We'll take it.
Go Tigers. I'm Bradley. This is Coach. Coach, one word. How would you describe that game? One word.
We'll take it. I know that's more than one word, but we'll take it.
All right, well, we're going to take this.
And it will be Saturday night in Death Valley.
All right, and we are in. It was definitely Saturday night in Death Valley. Crowd was full throat tonight. That's not much what I could say for the defense, or maybe they did have a full throat all night.
Let me just stop you. I'm gonna stop you before you get everybody all riled up. Like, that's a good team. That offensive line is good.
They lost to BYU.
I got you. But
no, they are good. They are good.
That quarterback is good, and he kept them in the game. And like Coach Kelly said it before the game, like he felt like the boot trophy, that rivalry means more to Arkansas than it does to LSU. And I can't argue with that. People ask me, like, who's our rival? Like, the last team that come to my mind is Arkansas. Like, whatever. That quarterback played as good as you can play. Never got rattled on the road in a hostile and one of the toughest places to play in the country. All that guy kept doing was making play after play.
He's pretty accurate, huh?
Look, they were saying all game, like, these are the best two quarterbacks in the league. And he made his case. He got outplayed a little bit, I think. But they're two different styles. So maybe it's hard to compare. But he had some excellent throws and now never got rattled under pressure, even with guys hanging on him. I couldn't have been more impressed by that. And if you as a fan just can't enjoy that game and tip your hat and applaud them, and I mean by them, Arkansas, like, I don't think we played that bad. I think Arkansas played really well.
Yeah. Well, I disagree a little bit there. That's all right.
Yeah, I'm
doing more than me. But let's start it out. Look, LSU goes punt, interception, punt to open up the game.
Yeah.
What happened?
Look, we missed, right? We looked like we didn't give.
You said it. Jayden looked drunk.
He looked. Well, I didn't say he looked drunk. I said it looked like he got really drunk last night. It was just off, right? Passes were. He missed two long balls. He had a third down pass to number one. It was just a little hitch, but it was behind him. The one on the sideline later on in the first half to Nabers, where it was absolutely, I don't know how it wasn't interference. That guy had tremendous coverage, and Nabers made I don't even know how he caught it. The ball was thrown so far inside, but he just looked off. But man, did he wake up at halftime?
Yeah, it was that drive at the end of half, right before the end of half, where we marched down the field.
You know what else I think it was too? Not only that, you had that quick strike, but you got that huge hit on the quarterback to end the half.
Yeah.
And that kind of, I promise you that he goes in that locker room and slams his helmet down because he's just feeling that hit and that play, and he's getting people fired up. You know?
For sure.
And it just looked like he came out and it steamrolled, right? It just all of a sudden it was, we just couldn't be stopped.
Yeah, so we saw a lot of Brian Thomas in the first two games, not much against Mississippi State, and then he came back with a vengeance today. I like that they find him. He's a huge target.
Yeah, I mean, he's I said it in week one. I think he's the best looking receiver we have by far. And we used to tell our guys all the time, like, look, you're the guy this week, right? So Nabers has a huge game, and you end up having another huge game tonight. But man, the defense has to account for him all week. So somebody else is going to be opened up to one-on-one matches and things like that. And you saw that. You took advantage of them.
No, we saw in the beginning of the first half, it looked like to me, the fan, massive offensive line breakdowns. Now, I imagine that could be a combination of Jayden plus the offensive line, plus maybe Arkansas was just doing their job really, really well to start the half off. But something definitely changed, and the offensive line came together towards the end of that first half.
Yeah, I think I don't want to say, look, Arkansas played really well up front. Their defensive line played good. They were bringing a lot of pressure early, second down pressure, third down pressure, and downs where you don't normally have pressure, a lot of line stunts. So I think we got confused up front. That stuff's tough to deal with, when guys slanting across your face, linebackers looping around the other side. I mean, to have 5 guys on the same page, and you know how hard that is. And then it all changes in the second half because you're able to get first down success with the run game, and you're 2nd and 2, 2nd and 3. That's a much easier game. You put the defense on their heels. They can't play those games and those stunts and those blitzes.
Yeah. And look, in the first half, scrolling Twitter, a lot of people talking, a lot of chatter about Denbrock's play calling in the first half. And I can't disagree in the fact that it was very, he did a great job of adjusting towards the second half for sure. But like, where was the running game? They didn't even really try to run it in the first half. Now, you need sustained drives, and we didn't have a lot of them. We went 3 and out twice, I believe.
Yeah, but those 3 and outs, you had some uncharacteristic throws. You had those deep shots that were there. Like if those balls are caught, right, we're all saying, "Oh my God, well, I love the play calling. We took some shots early." So, as a coach, like I'm never gonna, I'm not faulting.
Yeah, we're talking. We're like, do the thing that works.
Play. He called the play, and it hit Nabers literally in the helmet. Like, should have been out in front of him, yes, but it hit him in the helmet. Like, what do you want me to do? Call the play and go down and catch the football, or throw the football, or make the block? Like, someone has to execute.
All right, that moves us to the second half. Okay, LSU comes out with their hair on fire. We march back down the field, score another touchdown. Arkansas march. It was just back and forth once the second half started. But let's get into it. Everybody's on here. Mikey, the Saints fan for life, said, "I told people Nabers was coming." Definitely. Like, he crushed it. Everybody, while I was in, Nabers looked hot. Or that's fire, triple fires. But this is interesting. All right, Joe. The defense was soft. Reminds me of the soft Notre Dame teams when Kelly was there. My initial thought was, I thought the defensive line played pretty great. We basically rushed 4 almost the entire time and was collapsing the pocket. Yes. There were some soft zones. I think we got mixed up a little bit. And some of those guys were wide open. All right. And then some of the guys, we were on them, and they were just 6'3", 6'4", like the Florida State game. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree. I thought we were getting with 4-man pressure. Again, Mason Smith is just he's got to be the sorest guy on the field after a game. Every time I just zone in on him, he's getting double teamed, or he's got maybe he's got a one-on-one matchup for a second, and then the guard comes over and just smashes him. Like, man, you imagine battling 700 plus pounds of human every single play for 70, 80 plays. Like, golly, man. But I thought we were getting there and making that quarterback have to move up in the pocket. We just didn't have the second guy get there. Now, we did sack him like 5 or 6 times. We did get to him.
Yeah, I'll say this. You put any other SEC quarterback in that pocket that guy, tonight,
he has an atrocious
10 times. Yeah.
Minimum.
That guy was close.
That guy just wasn't affected by having a big giant paw knock you in your shoulder pads, whereas a lot of quarterbacks just go down.
And even every time we got them like way behind the sticks, 1st and 15, 1st and 20, 2nd and 15, 2nd and 18, stuff like that. Yeah. Like, he made a play. And it wasn't just
simple, right?
But he got hit 2 or 3 times and then made a play. Okay.
Yeah,
so it wasn't
or it was just a quick, step back and almost quarterback draw action. Like, hey, let's just try to get and that guy gets downhill, and it's, what are you supposed to do on that down, right? You're going to play deep coverage. So he's 7 yards rumbling downfield on 1st and 20 before anybody can get to him. And I want to see a raise of hands in the comments of who wants to get in front of that guy and make that tackle.
P.S. He's bigger than every single person on the defense except our 4 down linemen. That's it.
He's like 255.
He's that's bigger than every linebacker we have.
Yeah, and he plays that way, and he runs hard, and so he did a great job of getting him back to manageable.
Yeah,
2nd and 3rd downs,
and he's an NFL talent.
Yeah, I think he'd have to prove in the passing game a little bit, but he can make the throws for sure. And man, he does not go down easy.
Yeah. I think you have to like what you saw from Jayden most of the night. Like, he really turned it around. And when turned it around, like second half, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, I think it was 1 or 2.
20 or 24, I think, in the second half or something like that.
Yeah, and I know there was at least one drop. Mason Taylor had a drop. No, his decision-making was good. He was on target. He was on time. You could tell, and Brian Kelly said it at halftime, like we've got to play with better tempo. Jayden had to play with better tempo, and I think you saw that. There was a commitment to it. Like every time we had a big play or something, but we were or a big first down and second 2, second 3. We were quick to the line. You know it's coming to run, right? We're in like a tight end set, but man, it's just hard. The defense is trying to get set up, and you easily pick up the first down. So I just thought we played with much better tempo and much better excitement in the second half.
Let's debate the end of the game.
Okay.
Actually, I don't think there's a debate because we probably both agree here. Okay,
we do. First of all, we're going to nitpick this because it worked and it wasn't wrong.
Right.
I'm not going to say what the way it played out was wrong.
No, the way it played out,
I thought
wrong.
There was a better process, way to do it.
Yeah. And I mean, let's talk about like the alternatives. Okay, so they basically ran it, called timeout. Okay, well, ran it, timeout, right. And then threw a pass into the end zone. Okay. And then kicked the field goal.
Which I told you, that's on purpose, right? That's
right.
You throw that just to waste time. That way there's no tip, there's no sack, there's no freaky thing. Like,
all right, the other two options. Here are the other two options. And Shane and I kind of both agreed on, either one of these options, I believe. But you run it on first, call timeout. Second down, you run it, have a play ready to go. Run it again, and then you call timeout. So you kick the field goal with 1 second left on the clock.
Yeah, I think when we called that last time out, there was 11 seconds on the clock. Had you snapped the football and run it and scored or got tackled, right? That play is not taking 11 seconds, and you call timeout, right? If you score a touchdown, you've essentially given yourself the cushion of a touchdown if they convert a Hail Mary. Right, they still had a play with 5 seconds left. And P.S., that guy launched that ball to like the 15-yard line.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Like, I don't know. He just threw that ball like 80 yards
from the 25 to the 15. Yeah,
it was I thought we should have run the ball on second down instead of calling timeout. Line up, take your time, watch the clock, snap it with the 10, 11 seconds left. Run the ball. If you score, great. There's 5 seconds left. You're up a touchdown. Instead, we sort of call timeout and then have this wasted play. And you're putting a lot of faith in a field goal team. I know it's routine, right? It's an extra point, but Florida State last year blocked, right? I mean, when you go line up for a field goal in that situation, that team's coming with everything they got, right? This isn't just an extra point in the second quarter.
Here's the alternative. Okay, you run it on first, you kneel it on second, let the play clock run down. Snap it again, kneel it again, and then call timeout with 1 second left.
I don't like that because you're still doing the same thing. You're still putting the field goal unit as the main
thing.
Yeah,
but I would like to. If you're going to try to score.
Yeah, if you're going to try to run the football to score, then
just do it. Yeah,
go score with 5-6 seconds left in the clock.
Yeah.
Again, you're trusting your
field
goal unit.
If you're going to waste time, just do that route.
Yeah.
Because the kneeling is safer.
Look, you can have a snap that goes bad, a hold that goes bad, a kick that goes bad, or protection that gets it blocked. So when you go line up for a field goal, it's 4 things that have to happen for it to be successful.
Yeah, I mean, really, like the coaching all around on this particular Saturday was not great up and down college.
I will say this: Ohio State's management of the end of the game, if you happen to just catch a flip over and catch it, was outstanding, in my opinion.
Break it down for us, Coach.
They're on the third 19, 20 seconds left. They get a first down throw to the 1 foot line. So it's first down. There's 15 seconds. There's 7 seconds left. They do a rollout and incomplete. There's 3 seconds left. And then which I saw on the film, obviously their guys, the way the defense was lined up, they were totally expecting pass. The whole left side of the defensive line was not there. And with 3 seconds left on the game on the line, they ran the football, and the guy got in easily.
There you go.
Great play calls, great management.
All right, big observations for tonight, man. Like, or let's say break down. Like, what are some changes you saw from last week to this week?
Not a whole lot of changes. I think you just saw more of it, a little bit more tempo. Certainly in the second half, it was emphasized. The run game was going. Diggs, again, has separated himself clearly as the number 1 guy. Emery's your change of pace guy. You get the true freshman again broke off another long run. P.S. That was not horse collar, and that was definitely a face mask on him. I don't know why that's not called more. That bugs me more than anything. Even as an offensive guy, like, I can shove my hand in your face and break your neck, basically. I hate that rule.
P.S. That it was also not roughing the passer.
No, but they're going to give the benefit of the doubt. There's no need to hit
My
that
problem
guy.
is it's so quick. They're both up in the air. You know,
I think
he didn't hit him above the neck. Like,
No.
I get it. Like,
I think it's a 50-50 call, but man, you cannot. I used to tell my guys this all the time. You cannot give the referees a chance to make a mistake.
all right, here's
Right?
my other problem. Okay, with the end of that game. All right, this is what I had: Malik Nabers touchdown anytime. Okay,
Check.
2.5 touchdowns for Jayden Daniels. I took the over. Check.
Right?
Logan Diggs over 54 rushing yards. Check.
Mm-hmm.
Malik Nabers over 85 yards receiving. Check. Logan Diggs touchdown. It was right there. It was right
It was
there.
literally right there. Just score at the end.
Just score. And I would have
Score.
hit this massive parlay with the DraftKings super bonus on this Saturday college football.
That's
I mean, come
Why they
on.
want you to take those parlays.
Logan Diggs, Brian Kelly, you're killing me. You're killing me, man.
That's why they want you to take those parlays. It makes up for all the single game bets they lose.
All right, guys. Let us know in the comments. What was your favorite part of the game?
I'm going to say this too, because it's an SEC game, right? We're 2-0. Like, not every win has to be dominant and pretty. You know, and people like always talk about how dominant the 2019 team was. We just barely escaped Texas in week 1.
Yeah, and they weren't a good team that year.
And then we did dominate Alabama. Like, we barely got out of there with a win. Like, that was a back and forth game, you know? So, like, not every win has to be dominant and pretty and that kind of stuff. And, like, just let this teams keep learning and building and getting better and get some confidence and some momentum. And, man, if you run through this thing and your only loss is to what should be now an undefeated Florida State team, like, raise your hand and say, our argument is that our only loss is that week 1 against what would that time be a number 1 or 2 team in the country.
All right, look, I said put it in the comments. Pizza Pocket 9,000. My favorite part of the game was when we won. All right, smart ass.
I cannot agree with him more.
No, I would totally agree with him. All right. What did you think about Harold Perkins tonight, man? They used him a lot in the slot tonight.
Good. He was flying. He was flying around a lot.
Put him all over the field. Slot.
Yeah,
corner,
he was coming,
whatever.
kind of creeping off the edge and getting there. Look, he got some pressures. Yeah, a lot of times what doesn't show up in the stats is how you just influence the play, whether you got the quarterback off the mark, made him get out of the pocket. Like, just because you didn't get the sack doesn't mean that you didn't influence the play. And I thought he was more influential tonight than he has been all year.
Man, I'm going to throw something your way, okay?
Yeah, I'm going to hit it out of the park.
Yeah, hit it out the park. Malik Nabers, okay? We heard a lot of comparisons to him in the week leading up to this game. You know, recency bias has passed him, you know, comparing him to Chase, Jefferson, Terrace Marshall, those guys, right? And then I heard some old school guys comparing him to like Brandon LaFell or Early Doucette. The reality is, man, like Malik Nabers is 101, you know, in terms of him.
Yeah,
like, I've never really had a guy like
I'm not
him.
going to disagree. Like, I think he's more Brandon LaFell and like that era kind of guys than Jefferson and Chase. I mean, Jefferson and Chase were like they were different, and like the way they went up and got the ball. And I'm not saying Nabers doesn't do that.
Nabers makes some amazing catches.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Like, he's just sort of he is himself. You know, he at times he reminds you of a little bit of everybody. But man, it's so pretty. And we talked about like route running and the art of it. His touchdown underneath when they showed the end zone shot on the replay, if you just watch the way he comes off the ball and he kind of waits like he's doing nothing and he lets that other guy clear out and then he gives a little head nod to the outside and then he sticks his foot in the ground and you're like, man, so when you wonder how those guys get that open, it's little things like that, you know, those little nuances that, all right, I'm going to wait about a second and a half, let this guy clear it out. As soon as I see it, like, and it was pretty.
Yeah. Do you think it's possible that maybe the lack of use of Logan Diggs in the first half may have been because they're still trying to work him back in? You know, he did miss that Really, the first 2 games because of injury.
It's hard to tell. There might be some things that maybe the other guys still do better. It could be situational thing, maybe short yardage. They want to get somebody else in there. It could be just a rep management thing to have him sort of there at the end to be able to, kind of wear him out kind of thing. So it's hard to really tell why he, running back substitutions. I mean, maybe some guy for that one particular play is just better at it than he is, or knows it better, or whatever the case is. I mean, it'd be impossible for us to sort of sit here and say why he's in the game or not early on.
Yeah, it was a star-studded event at Tiger Stadium tonight. Do you remember that crazy plane lady? That was
Plane lady.
She thought there was like this imaginary person sitting next to us, and he was going to blow up the plane. And she got pulled off. She was blonde, kind of hot. Tiffany Gomez. She was at the LSU game tonight.
I think we're
showing it
star-studded. We're stretching that term.
Hey, everybody likes the crazy plane lady, man.
I guess I have to go search for that one.
All right, how do you feel in terms of our defense going forward? Like watching tonight, like, again, we talked about if there was any other quarterback out there besides KJ Jefferson, like we shut it down pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think the only 2 guys that are standing up for against what happened tonight is our guy, because he can get out of the pocket a little bit better than KJ does, but KJ doesn't have to. Like his game is not, he's not very fast, But that's
and I'll
not
say this.
Game.
I mean, what do you think about Milroe over at Alabama? I mean, he's big, he's fast, but KJ slings it a little bit better than him.
That, like, to me, like the experience that, like, there's no substitute, right? When teams go into a season and there's all hype about them, like it's never because they have a rookie or a freshman quarterback, right? These guys are both super experienced in the SEC, and that goes a long way. And you saw it on display tonight from him. Like he never looked down, he never looked rattled, he never looked like he was out of control. He was poised. If people hanging on him, get it to the running back. You can't teach that stuff. That's experience.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, man. So what does the defense need to do to clean that up?
I don't know. We talked during the game and you said, man, these guys, Arkansas executed some awesome second and third level RPOs to move the chains. And
can you explain what they were looking at when they were doing that?
So to break down what an RPO is, basically, is that the offense is going to look for the +1 defender, right? And what I mean by that is if we've got 5 guys in the blocking scheme, whatever it is, and the defense has 5 guys, well, then we got a hat for a hat, and we should be able to make the blocks and run the football. We hand it off. The +1 guy is the guy we can't account for, right? The second linebacker, an outside linebacker, a safety, roll down, whatever it is. So when they got an extra guy, that's the guy that we're reading. And if he steps up in the run game, quarterback will pull it, and they'll throw that little glance route or pop route, whatever you want to call it, behind that defender, right? That defender is a dual defender. He has to play the run and he has to play the pass, and he can't play both. So if he stays back, then we got a hat for a hat, run the football, give it. If he comes up hard in the run game, and you saw that Majors kept rolling down and they kept hitting that like 7-yard slant right behind him. And so that's what look, there's not a whole lot of answer for that other than.
So the defense, how would they, fix that going forward?
You can give false reads, you can drop different people, but now you're playing the guessing game versus, all right, I think they're going to throw an RPO versus not. Tighter coverage. It's tough. That's why the there's been an offense.
Yeah, and that broken play touchdown on the right side of the field was Zay Alexander had number 9 in coverage, I believe. And then KJ was coming up, and that was enough to stop.
I saw in the replay, and I don't know if he was doing this on purpose, if this froze him, but KJ started waving like this, like almost to the receiver, hey, run forward. And I was thinking, like, man, did that freeze him? Did that freeze Alexander? And that guy just then broke deep? Like, if that's the case, like, that's the smartest play I've seen in a long time. Because, like, somebody else was coming up on the run. Like, he didn't have to – he could have just turned his back to the quarterback and ran with that guy. But it's like he noticed him waving the guy up, and he's sort of froze for a second. But,
yeah.
He was
so,
good.
Look, yeah, I saw these stats just now on Jayden Daniels. He started off the game, worst start of his career, by the way, 7 of 14 for 70 yards and interception. And then he went 13 for 15 for 250
Yeah.
and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah,
No
it was
turnovers.
tale of two halves. Also, that interception, like that was the right read. When they showed it again, like that kid made an unbelievable play. Like, he made it look like he was going with the vertical. So Daniels got the ball out quick, and the kid just jumped that, and it was a spectacular play. It was not Daniels' fault.
Yeah, well,
There's
kudos to him
nothing
for
you could
coming
do
back.
there. Every quarterback is making that same read and throwing that ball.
All right, did you watch any of the Colorado game?
I did. And
And?
let me say this. I talked about it a lot in week 1. You cannot overreact in week 1 for any loss or any win. And what did everybody do? Oh my God, Colorado's awesome. They're back. They're on the scene. Like, you beat a bad TCU team.
I just think it's fun. I'm like,
oh yeah, no, look,
Prime.
I'm all about
fun.
what Prime's doing, but it just sort of, you can't put too much stock in that. Like, what a great win for that program. I'm not saying taking anything away from them, but like, you played a real team tonight on the road and a big
hammered.
boy contender, and you pissed them off, right? For the first time, like you didn't have any locker room material, and they did.
And speaking of like overreacting to week 1, we had a lot of people overreact to Florida State in a positive way. A lot of people negatively react to LSU. But if you if you watch the Florida State Clemson game today, I think tonight Arkansas would have beat both of those teams.
Yeah, look, it's hard to look. That's a rivalry game on the road for a team. Like, it's hard. People think you're like, oh, you're just a better team. Like, man, there's so many things that go into it, and it's hard to go on the road in your conference and win.
And the transitive property does not work in football or in sports, period. Like, just because you beat one team doesn't mean,
No, you have to go out and execute. And that's a team that hadn't won there since they said Jameis Winston.
Yeah. And
right?
every
Like,
week is different.
Yeah.
Would you say that, Coach? How many times have y'all had couple big wins stack up and you were going up against a team that y'all should whoop and they surprised the hell out of you?
We didn't ever lose to them, but we've definitely had sluggish games where you're like, that team you would normally maybe beat by like 35 points and it's 21-14 at halftime. And you're like, what's going on? It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's also hard for 18, 19, 20-year-old kids to like get emotionally up week in and week out. Like you say, well, it's only one game a week, but like, I don't think people understand what goes in the time and preparation and just the mindset you have to have, like, to be on for a whole season.
Yeah, that's why you say, look, in the SEC, just win. Just win.
Yeah, that's all you have to do. Get to the SEC championship in any capacity, and you are in the conversation. And it's hard. Like, look, like, I mean, I think you get fooled sometimes when you look at teams that sort of, I want to say, make it look easy. Like Alabama has made it look easy, but it's not. Like, anybody can climb to the mountain one time, right? Ed Ogeron is proof of that, right? But to get there and stay there, that is tough. So those teams that can do that, then they make it look easy. Like, it's not. You don't just walk in and like by the security guard and flash an Alabama badge and like, oh, okay, college football playoff. Ohio State flashes, oh yeah, it doesn't matter what your record is. You're like, it's tough to stay at that level.
Speaking of, look, Alabama might not be who Alabama was, but they're still Alabama. And you can't take them lightly, Lane.
Also, just because they had a run of really good quarterbacks who like won Heisman's and that's how they were winning the ball games, like now they're finding ways to win like they sort of used to, right? Like, great defense. They're tough to score on, and they do enough offensively to win. And so, again, who cares what the score was today? They only won, 24-7 or something like that? Like, Ole Miss only scored 7 points. That's a Lane Kiffin offense that everybody's all, he's the mastermind of offense, and they're going to roll. Like, how much money did Vegas make today?
I mean, it's like no matter what.
Like, Ole Miss is going to go in there and roll Alabama. No, they're not.
Rebels fans, I hate to break it to you, Ole Miss will always be Ole Miss. I'm sorry. Like, you ain't winning anything big except maybe a Tulane game and a hot Saturday at Ullman with their backup quarterback. Like, sorry, guys.
Yeah, they're still Alabama. They're just doing it differently. And again, nobody at the end of the season, there are no asterisks by any win and be like, well, this one was kind of ugly win. Like, you won the ball game. Move on.
Yeah,
you need a little luck. You need the ball to bounce your way. I don't care how good of a team you are.
Speaking of, LSU plays Ole Miss next weekend. judging from the little bit you saw of that game today, and then with LSU's offense, I mean LSU's offense against Ole Miss defense, what would you say? What would you say?
We should be able to, we should be able to score points, but once again, like, just because Ole Miss lost to Alabama, don't think that they're not going to regroup and be pissed off and want to prove themselves to the world that they are.
Yeah, if anything, the game's even harder now.
Yeah, like, I put no zero stock in the fact that they lost to Alabama in any capacity. Like, they might come in and be a shootout. I expect us to be able to score points and win that game. But it's the SEC, and I just don't think people understand how hard it is to win week in and week out, and the level of competition that even a half decent SEC team is. And like the guys who line up and play on those teams, like everybody's a multi-time All-State, like the third string backup guy. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy.
All right, hit me up where you are on the Brian Kelly barometer. Okay, we're 4 games in, quarter of the season done. Yeah, we weren't happy about the way the end of the game played out in terms of play calling, but it did work. How are your thoughts on how he's doing so far this year?
Yeah, look, the easiest coaching jobs are in the world is when your team is just that good, right? Like Ed Ogeron didn't really do much that year. He just sat back and got out the way. You know what I'm saying? So like sometimes your toughest coaching jobs or when you're trying to piece it together, or you are struggling in areas and you do have to motivate a team to get up there. So, I think he's doing a great job. Like, you got a lot of new parts. You got a lot of transfer. Teams don't just gel in a week. You got a lot of new guys playing for us, especially in the secondary. You got, new running back. You got these pieces don't just fall into place. Like you got to manage them. And I haven't seen anything that makes me want to be like, oh, he's got to go. Like he's so far ahead of schedule. It's scary.
Yeah, I guess people like Jay Johnson and Kim Mulkey have kind of set the bar too high for him.
I know, but like, are we ready to run the basketball coach because it's his second year out of the gym because he doesn't win? Like,
if you read Tiger Droppings, that's a yes.
Yeah, of course. But like, look, we live in this instant gratification society, and people think like, oh, just go get a couple transfers and you'll be right back into that. This is not how it works.
Man, that's what I was thinking about. Like LSU fans, right? Like everybody right now is going to compare Jayden to Joe, right? To Joe Burrow. But the reality is like outside of Joe Burrow, Jayden might be the best quarterback we've had outside of Joe Burrow. He's awesome.
I don't think it's in question.
Like he's awesome.
Like even Matt Flynn and Matt Mock, who won national championships, like they just managed games, in my opinion, back then. And it was a different style of offense, right? We were, like you said, you were watching some of that old film and the run schemes. I was like, there wasn't much. It was just big on big, send the fullback through the whole first and just smash mouth everybody. I mean, but where those guys statistically or where you would rank them, like, that I don't think there's a question. I mean, yeah, maybe you could throw some old school guys in there, Tommy Hotson and, some of those older guys, but certainly in the more modern era, for sure. There's no doubt he's the best quarterback we've had outside of Joe.
Yeah, for sure. So speaking of I was talking to Shane earlier today about those Les Miles era. I was watching some old LSU Arkansas games, and our offensive line was just mauling Arkansas's defensive line. And they're swinging guys around, opening up giant holes for the running back. What's the biggest difference then to now in terms of the blocking schemes? Because that's what it would be.
I'm not saying we don't recruit these guys because I think our outstanding. I still think we have a young offensive line. You got to remember our 2 tackles are still just true sophomores. Like that's young.
Yeah.
That was Les Miles' thing, right? I mean, he was going to run the ball at every down possible, and you went out and recruited those guys. I mean, how many linemen did we put in the NFL back then? I mean, it seemed ridiculous, but it was old school football, and he played even older school football than that era even called for. Everyone loves that fourth quarter drive against Florida where we went for it on 4th down like 3 times, and Hester scored the touchdown. Like That's because we were able to pick up 3 or 4 yards a pop. But it's almost like, hey, I'm going to tell you what we're doing, right? You local people, like, it's like John Curtis, like here, like, they're about to run the veer, right? Here they come. But, like, you just can't stop it. Like, there's something about just brute strength and smash mouthing you and hitting you in the face.
Yeah, I watched Curtis against Brother Martin last year in the state finals in the Dome, and they just same thing, same play, same 3 plays over and over and over again.
They might as well hold the sign up and say we're going veer right. Like, oh, okay, here it comes. Like, man, can you believe they ran a veer on that play? Yeah, it was like Les Miles. Like, can you believe they ran, inside zone with the fullback lead? Old school ISO. Yeah, absolutely. That's what we did.
All right, let's wrap. Let's wrap it up with this. What was your favorite thing you saw tonight?
Second half tempo. I thought play calling was good. It was in rhythm. The run game was established. I thought, again, Diggs has just really separated himself, in my opinion. I think the way he runs and is able. A lot of people don't understand how sometimes, and I think we had John Emery bounce the ball outside and Mason's for a first down, and Mason Smith ended up getting a holding penalty. But that's not his fault. Like, he's blocking the guy with inside leverage, expecting John Emery to hit the hole inside of him. And when the running back bounces it outside, and then all of a sudden that defender who you're pushing that way goes that way, well, there's the hold. So a lot of times a running back can cause a holding penalty. And I think the way that Diggs runs is just so patient and really helps set up the lineman's second level blocks.
Yeah. Second best thing I saw tonight was Jayden Daniels' ability to knock off that rush turnaround and just nail it all night. Okay.
Yeah.
Best thing I saw all night was Paul Skeens and Livy Dunn in the stands. Welcome back to Tiger Stadium, guys. Glad to have you.
Oh my God. You are on chat boards and Twitter probably more in the next 10 minutes than I am in an entire year.
Maybe so. All right, LSU versus Ole Miss next weekend. Prediction, early prediction.
We got to be able to slow them down. I think we can score points. If I was don't know where it's at right now, but I would tend to put money on the over if I had to.
Yeah.
I think we'll have some stuff dialed up.
Well, look, this was definitely an LSU versus Arkansas game. There's been some crazy ass LSU Arkansas games over the years.
They've always been
even close. when I still say we had our best team ever. But outside of 2019, which was 2011, we didn't win the national championship because we couldn't figure out quarterback and throwing the ball forward. But that team was unbelievable, and Arkansas took us to double OT and beat us. I remember that game. It was sick. I think that was the Darren McFadden year. No.
Yeah, they had both those guys, right?
Peyton Hillis,
Felix Jones, and
Peyton Hillis, and Darren
McFadden.
Yeah.
Good luck stopping that.
Yeah, that's crazy. That was a crazy game. So, classic LSU Arkansas game. When these kind of things, we just got to win. Like we've been saying,
enjoy the win. Stop trying to nitpick everything. Like that Arkansas team made some great plays and did some really good things. And clap your hands as they go home with an L.
All right, we'll end it with this. Go to hell, oh piss.
There you go.